everyone. Welcome to my third edition of Quarantine or Paradise, my new series, which I started during these quite difficult and I would say traumatic times. So the idea was to invite inspirational people who I know, who I admire personally, whose work I admire, and ask them to share some ideas and tips with those of us who are fortunate to be well enough to stay at home, but at the same time, we find ourselves in a quite difficult situation. So I know many of us want to do many things, but because of what's happening outside, we do need a little bit of guidance. So today, I'm absolutely chuffed to introduce the most wonderful, inspirational, and I would say one of the most powerful women in the piano world, the editor of Pianist Magazine, Erica Roth. Welcome, Erica.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you for joining us. So, first of all, for people, most of my audience are musicians and pianists, but I also know that some of you are not musicians and pianists. So just to give you an idea, that Pianist Magazine, I would call it a contemporary Bible for any piano player of today in the UK. It's a magazine, you can find it in all the simple stores. You can find it next line to Marie Claire or Vogue. And it introduces, in my opinion, as a professional pianist and composer, everything you need to know about piano. So it has ideas on how to play, lessons, and of course highlights in the latest news. And so behind all this is the wonderful Erica. So Erica, my first question is, I know because I was reading about you that you started you didn't start as a journalist, you started as a classical pianist. You went to Manhattan School of Music.
Yes, I did actually. I think when I was young, I won lots of little piano competitions and I wanted to be a pianist. My mother wanted me to be a concert pianist. It was a lovely thing to do and I was very good at it. So I went to the Manhattan School of Music in New York. I was on a scholarship, in fact, a Liberace scholarship. So I met Liberace, got a fantastic picture of me next to him in the late 80s.
Did you have to wear a special outfit?
I went to hear him at Radio City Concert Hall in New York, and we had to all go back. Those of us on scholarships had to go backstage and meet him afterwards. I do remember wearing something very sparkly. I wore some gold Lurex jodhpur trousers, but that was in the 80s when we wore ridiculous stuff like that.
Fantastic. So, what inspired you to go to America? Because you were obviously born in the UK. You're a British girl, right?
My piano teachers, the teachers I had, wanted me to get a more overall. I don't know how I found myself there. I wanted to go and study with a lady called Constance Keene, who was very renowned in America, and she was at Manhattan School of Music. So that's how I kind of found myself there. I'd never been to New York in my life, and I was on a plane auditioning to Manhattan School with my parents, and they left me there. I got in and I waved goodbye to them when I was 21 in Manhattan on my own.
Oh my goodness, I'm sure that was a very transformative experience.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, I made friends very quickly in school, and the concerts I went to, I used to go to Carnegie Hall all the time, Lincoln Center. I heard Horowitz's last recital at the Met. I remember queuing there the whole night to get a ticket to that. I had so many amazing experiences, I must say. And I practiced very hard as well.
Actually, that will be one of my questions a little bit later. But so you went to Manhattan. So what happened afterwards?
I decided after I graduated and I did my graduation recital, which took all the life out of me, I decided honestly, being a pianist wasn't for me. No regrets. I actually, for a couple of years, closed the lid on the piano. I didn't touch it at all while I was trying to find out what I really wanted to do with my life. But I found my way into, piano was my passion, my biggest hobby. And I found myself in EMI Records. I was a press officer for classical. So I met all the great artists dealing with the press. So I was working the other way around, really. I was not the press, but I was dealing with the press.
I see.
Then I became an agent at IMG Artists. So I became an agent for musicians.
It's one of the biggest agencies.
Oh, yeah. And I met some really great contacts there as well. Being an agent was not for me, and I left of my own accord, but the contacts I made, or the pianists and the agents, the orchestras, the promoters. So, you know, I left with a lot of contacts, and then I got this job. This was my third big job. And I've been here since nearly 20 years.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
I say, you don't look old enough to be there for such a long time.
Can't believe it. 2001, we launched the magazine.
Yes, I mean, I can see when I look at magazine that it is very thoughtfully done, because it covers all I can see that it's someone who creates it. It's someone who has a lot of passion and love. And second of all, it covers everything from the almost latest gossips and, of course, big news to the very practical tips to those who want to play the piano. So is it kind of all your vision, or how does it work?
Well, it's a combination of me and my team. But yes, I'm the one that decides on the editorial. But the unique bit about the magazine is the sheet music. We've got 40 pages of sheet music in the center. So it's like a pull-out section. And that's from beginner to intermediate to advanced. That is the number one thing. So if you play the piano, you buy my magazine. If you don't play the piano, you wouldn't really buy my magazine, because half of it, basically, or a little bit under half of it, is the sheet music. And along with that, we also have a cover mount CD played by our house pianist. She's the wonderful concert pianist, Genia, and she performs all the pieces. So a reader can listen to the piece first, think, oh, I love that, I'm going to learn that, and then open the score. I'll show you. Reader, that's a score from the center of the magazine.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So if, let's say, someone was stuck on a desert island for a couple of weeks, do you think they will be occupied with all the things?
Oh, absolutely. For a couple of weeks. Definitely. Most probably a couple of months or even half a year, because there's usually about 12, 13, 14 pieces in the magazine. So my goodness. And there's always one very difficult piece, so the advanced player can learn that. Okay. So, I mean, that in itself might take a month, 2, 3 to learn. But then there's all the playing tips, how to improve your legato, chord playing, interviews with artists. You've got a lot of material there to tap in and out of and learn. You've got to have a piano on your desert island, I would hope.
Yes, of course. but still, yes, because I really like your articles on piano playing. I mean, you had fantastic contributors, and one of them, Melanie Spansvik, she was in my series. She was a guest in the very first episode of Quarantine in Paradise. But so that's very interesting. I would like to ask you, do you play yourself?
Oh, yes, because, I mean, I don't play up to a huge kind of professional standard, but, for example, I choose all the scores. So I sit there, I play through them, I decide what level they are. Choosing the scores is one of my favorite parts of the job. I think, I need a bit of classical, then I need a bit of romantic, I need a bit of baroque, something unusual that people don't know. So I'm sitting constantly with sheet music, playing it through, deciding which to keep, putting aside for the next issue. So yes, I do. And I really enjoy that. It's good for my sight reading as well.
Oh, but do you practice yourself?
Funnily enough, more so. I'm so busy, during the day with my job.
Of course.
But I would say more so now in this bizarre period that we're in, because I'm not going out. So in the evening, I might actually relearn a piece. That's what I quite like to do, because I used to learn a lot of music very well. So I quite like to relearn, and then maybe learn some of the pieces I'm playing I'm featuring in the magazine. But I don't go into in-depth detail like a performer would. Don't have time.
But I heard from some people that you're a very good pianist on a couple of occasions. So
no. That's very sweet. I think at one point when I practiced 6 hours a day, I was quite good. But now, whatever, I still feel it.
Well, that's important, but I think that's what it's basically. If you're happy to spend 6 to 8 hours with the piano, then I think people like that, they're really happy to embrace a career of a professional concert pianist.
Yeah.
But if you love the music, you love the technique, but finding yourself in that confinement is hard, I guess that's what creates, makes people choose to go into that profession or
It's
not.
such a difficult profession. I mean, I think you've got to want it more than anything in the world. So much dedication is required. I used to love practicing. I had no problem with sitting and practicing all day. But I think to become a real, true concertizing artist, you need so much. You're memorizing the nerves aspect. I do loads of articles on nerves, by the way, how to deal with nerves. But that alone, sitting up there on the concert platform, having to play note perfect, not for me.
Well, fair enough. So do you find now, I mean, you already said that in a confinement, even you yourself, spend more time with the piano. Do you think your readers are actually spending more time with your magazine?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And I found, we always keep a few back issues for people who don't know about the magazine or they've missed a magazine. And we're finding they're really selling because I think people are now thinking, oh, I need some material. I want to improve my playing now. I want to start learning again. A lot of people, we found more pianos are being sold, especially digital pianos, for people who are taking it up and don't want to spend a fortune. So yeah, I think there's definitely more time to focus on this wonderful hobby, which makes you feel so good and you usually don't have enough time for, because you do need to put the time in to improve,
Absolutely. But I also checked your website because you have a website with there's so much information. I mean, to be honest, if you end up on a desert island also with your website, I think you can stay there for a year pretty much.
Oh yeah, we've got some great contributors. I've got a wonderful online editor called Ellie. Mm-hmm. She really takes care of the website because I just wouldn't have time to do it. But so we're finding news, we're helping people improve their playing, we're giving people interesting facts. We're catering to all different types of players, I believe, from the amateur, beginner, through to the professional, advanced. So we're not being elitist in any way at all,
No, and I also looked at, obviously I always see the covers of your magazine. You have a very interesting, very vibrant artist, very different. So you had the month before, you had Nikolai Lugansky, or a few months before, who is a very traditional Russian concert pianist. And then this month you have Ludovico Einaudi, who is he's incredible composer and pianist, but it's a modernist, contemporary music. So I like that diversity which you have.
Yeah, I mean, we've had in the last 4 issues, we've had Isa Takana Mason, wonderful pianist who's new on the scene. We've had Einaudi, we've had Igor Levit, who is the king of Beethoven. So we've got one extreme, Igor Levit, then, as you say, Einaudi, totally different music. And he was amazing. I met him, I interviewed him, he was fantastic. That's a great part of the job too, interviewing all these amazing musicians, from Martha Argerich to Einaudi.
Of course. Now, something else I noticed amongst my friends who are not pianists, many of them, it just is really funny, send me many emails, say, Genia, we want to start playing the piano. Can we find online course? And what digital piano you want us to buy? And I don't know about any online course which I personally can recommend. And I think, like anything else, the first step should be very, very guided, because if you don't, you can learn playing with a lot of mistakes. I mean, the only thing I think you can do, you can read the music more or less. That you can learn by yourself. But then I was surprised to find out that in your magazines, there are also tips for complete beginners, right?
Yes, absolutely. We've got a little section called Keyboard Class, which is aimed at the beginner. Very simple exercises, telling them to play really slowly, relaxed. We have little articles for restarters as well. A section for beginners always. But I totally agree. It's always better to have guidance, always, no matter what you're doing. I mean, I think
Yes.
I was telling you I had a problem with my shoulder, and somebody was saying do yoga, and then you can't just do yoga. You need proper help to do yoga.
Especially if you have problems, you can't do yoga. That's even worse.
Yeah, and piano playing is it's not a natural thing, is it? So you need to have a bit of guidance how to hold the hand and not strain and all that.
Of course. And also a lot of adults who start learning, not many of them, unfortunately, are in perfect physical health. So some people have issue, again, with shoulders, with wrist tensions, lots of things. Again, the teacher would take this into consideration, because maybe traditional, I actually have one student who had lots of injuries right now, and we are finding alternative ways. And it's very interesting to me, by the way, to work with this. But I can see that old tradition, half of it has to go out of the window because it's not good for him.
It's difficult. You're very lucky throughout your piano playing life if you don't have any issues. I mean, I've had issues along the way. I've seen so many different teachers and physiotherapists and whatever. But some people then, I was interviewing Menachem Pressler, who is, about 96 at the moment. He hasn't once had any injury or problem. So some people get by with nothing, some people get by with a lot,
I think it's all generation. My great-grandmother, Regina Horowitz, who taught me, she, not only she didn't have any problems, when she was 84, literally the day before she died, she was still doing physical exercises, and I could just lift her leg to the level of her hip, and she was telling all her students to do that. I think there's certain generation who are, in 80 plus, they're incredible.
Wow, amazing.
But now, so what the idea of the series also to ask my guests to introduce some ideas and tips for those who either, in your case, want to play the piano, or we can take it broader, doing something creative, but they don't know how to start. And so let's just throw in a couple of tips and see what we think about it.
Well, I think I won't go that technical because personally I'm not a piano teacher. But what I would say is, for somebody, let's say, taking up the piano or going back to the piano, I'd say don't rush. Set yourself a goal maybe for a year from now. Say, I'd really like, it could be an exam. I really want to take grade 1 in a year. Or it could be, I really want to have learned the Moonlight Sonata first movement in a year, depending on your level, or within 2 months, just totally depending within your level. But don't rush and be realistic. So that's number one. Don't feel, most people think they can learn the piano in a week. It's not true. So just see it as a long-term investment, love every bit about it, and just don't rush,
Yes, so you're talking about patience, because many of us don't have it. And I think in current society, if we don't get immediate gratification, because of the way things run, and lots of people do things on apps now. They play piano on apps, so. So yes, I think there's a little bit of a problem that people are losing patience in general, so.
Yes, I think so. And your work life might be very busy. It's mad, meeting, talk, phone call. With your piano, of course, you've got to be structured, but just enjoy it. Don't stress over it. I don't know.
No, that's a great one. My one was that if you play, let's say, if you play piano, if you kind of practice already every day, I would say, and when people are bored or they don't know what to do, try to do something you've never done. But again, don't be too attached to it. So, for example, if you never played anything from memory, try to memorize something and see, what if it works? If you never compose a piece of music, try just to play a tune and you can record it on your iPhone. What if it would be an amazing tune of music? So I always think it's nice to introduce always something a little bit different, and to bring that creative element without being too attached. And it can be amazing, and then we can discover something else about ourselves.
That's very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I like that.
So, yes, I'll be looking forward to hearing your tune, Erica, soon.
My what? No, I'm terrible at improvising. Terrible.
Okay, so another tip, anything else?
I would say when it comes to playing the piano, play the repertoire that you love. Learn music you want to learn. If you don't like Bach, don't play Bach. If you like Chopin, concentrate more on Chopin. You know, when you're young, you're often told by your piano teacher, you've got to learn this, you've got to learn that. Obviously, if you're taking exams, you've got to follow a certain structure, but just pick up what you want to love, what you love and want to learn. I think that'll make you feel much happier at the piano.
I totally agree, yes, because I noticed that there are people who really like doing exams because of many reasons, but because they want their standards to be acknowledged. Yeah. And then, of course, and even there's quite a bit of a choice. And I always tell people, don't choose a piece you don't like, because you will waste 6 or 9 months of your life trying to do something. If your heart is not in it, don't go there. Let's find where your heart is. And sometimes we had cases when we couldn't find anything. I said, well, why don't we skip a grade? Well, you can't skip a grade.
Oh, yes.
And find something from the next grade. And again, if they like it, you know, they learn it with much more passion, I think.
Absolutely.
And my tip is such that I personally like exercising in everything. First of all, obviously with yoga, I exercise and I do different things.
Yes.
And we talked about it with my previous guest, Joe Good, in the previous episodes. But I also love personally piano exercises. Oh. And I think there are 2 types of people. There are people who really don't like them and people who do. The reason I like them, A, because they're quick. They're, again, so this is where you achieve success much quicker. So you can see the progress much quicker. And also, you know, if you play a piece of music and you have a technical issue, if you're just working on this passage, you can kill it.
Absolutely.
You stop feeling it. But if you decide, okay, I have a problem, let's say double thirds, or how to play, I don't know, some kind of passage, you find a right exercise, and then you spend 10-15 minutes, and then you spend a week doing that, and boom, the problem is sorted, and you can apply it to your piece of music.
Oh, that's really good. I think exercises are important, and I featured many articles on the pros and cons of exercises in the magazine.
But you see, now because I compose, I always have this on the back of my mind. I always have this idea that if I don't play, because I now don't play 6 or 8 hours as I used to, what can help me? Piano exercises. So I try to do almost every day, certain amount, and I kind of build them up. Obviously, I do my piano yoga exercises because they're, for me, that's the best. Like if I haven't played piano for a week and I do piano yoga for, let's say, for 3 days, a full course, a full book, my fingers get back.
Wonderful.
But, you know, but there's so many others. I love Baron's left hand exercises.
Absolutely.
You know. So anyway, I can talk about exercises endlessly. But okay, anything else? Any other ideas?
I would say, and listen, you know, it's been talked about a lot, but I honestly think if you were to do anything every day that might help with towards your piano playing, in many ways, it's to sight read something every day.
Yes.
Do you think so? Because one of the biggest hurdles is, you know, people often say, oh, it takes me so long to learn a piece. And I think a lot of that is because people haven't built up a fantastic sight reading, you know, ability. And I myself, I wish I was a better sight reader, and I didn't sight read every day. So I would say it's a really good thing to do, and you will improve, you know. And it's fun. You can see, you know, follow and don't look at the keys, you know. There's so much you can learn and as a musician from sight reading, actually.
Of course, and you can see the pieces, right? And you can actually learn more pieces. You can see, you can like go through much more repertoire rather than being stuck with 5 pieces of music.
Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely. So that's I'd say that's a good tip.
Yeah, that's fantastic tip. Okay, my last tip would be I like also not to say I like it's diaries. So let's say someone wants to master a piece of music, and again, you know, if they just go and practice, it could be one day very good, one day not very good, and someone said, "Oh, I've been practicing for a month, it's not going anywhere." So my tip is very simple. You write a date, then you write in the second column, you write piece, or it probably wouldn't be a piece, so you write a task from that piece. So you say, okay, 8 bars or 1 page of this, memorize, or long part, doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
you really have to define. Then you write the time you spend on it, because I'm very particular with the time. And then at the end, and you set up an alarm. Literally. And then at the end of this, you look at it and you just say, on 1 out of 10, how happy are you with this? And you can write 8 or 6. And then if you want another one, you write some notes if you think you need to. It literally takes 1 minute. But then once you start doing it, your brain will get used to in going to the piano and trying to achieve something and have some kind of strategy, rather than just playing piano, which is also very valid. You know, you can just, but if you really want to learn something, I think keeping some kind of diary of your progress and even building up a strategy is quite a good idea, and it's fun to do.
Very good. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's so many ideas, and I just I don't know how long we're going to be in this situation, and of course, I mean, I had sadly quite a few friends who got affected. One of them unfortunately passed away.
Dear.
And it's very difficult. So it's kind of really surreal. It's a surreal situation. But I always try to think that the best thing we can do is to stay healthy physically and mentally. And if we are alive, like, I know it sounds very dramatic, but if we are alive today, why don't we try to make the most of it? And if we want to enjoy our creativity or our piano playing, why don't we put our attention into that, at least for certain part of the day?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Um,
Trying to think, yeah, I'm very busy, you know, with my work. And
so your work is still, so now, because obviously before you were writing, well, maybe you're still writing in your magazine about forthcoming.
oh yeah.
So what's happening now?
Well, so many of these events are going online, aren't they? Even, you know, there's online masterclasses, online summer schools, online this and that. So there is still a lot to write about. Obviously, you know, the festivals, a lot of the festivals and the concert venues, you know, but that hasn't been the main focus of my magazine. I don't do lots of live reviews or kind of, I do album reviews, I do sheet music reviews. I think sheet music's really important at the moment because everybody's wants to be learning new repertoire.
Yeah.
But nothing has changed with my magazine. I'm just, you know, featuring some more articles about time management, staying at home, staying focused, what you can do, what you can watch. There's so many online concerts. There's a lot you can be doing as well as practicing, you know, being locked down, staying at home. There's so much, you know, it's such an art, music. It's huge, you know.
Of course.
So you can keep busy with it 24 hours a day.
Yes. And we will give links to all the Pianist magazines, pianistmagazine.com, right?
Yeah.
And so, but we also give links underneath this video and within this video. And I do encourage, if you do play piano, definitely it's worth checking out. And once you start looking, you'll be lost.
Yeah, give it a try. We're on issue 113 at the moment, so there's a lot there.
Fantastic. Erica, thank you so much for joining me. I know your schedule, as you said, is very busy. So thank you so much for finding the time.
You're welcome.
And yes, and let's see, and hopefully we all come out of this period sooner rather than later. And I wish you and all our viewers to be well and stay well, safe and healthy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Genia. Same to you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.